Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, let me welcome you on behalf of the organizers of the Prague European Summit, the Institute of International Relations in Prague and EUROPEUM Institute for European Policy. Ladies and gentlemen, this year we are celebrating 60 years from the signature of Rome Treaties. During this long past, the Union achieved to become the biggest community of peace, stability, freedom, prosperity, and a place where democracy, rule of law, and human rights are blooming. But also, last 12 months were one of the most difficult years in Europe's history, or the EU history. We were facing the Brexit, strong propaganda, post-factual era, and the rise of populist and anti-European forces. Recently, we can see that there is a light in the tunnel. We can hope that the last elections in European countries has shown change of the trend. But that doesn't mean that we can be satisfied and we can resign from the path which started in Bratislava almost a year ago, the path of reflection, adaptation and reform of the European Union. I truly hope that Prague European Summit and its debates will be able to generate recommendations for the European and member states leaders to accomplish, to deliver and to bring the reform which is needed and which is wanted and demanded by the citizens of the European Union. We will have also opportunity to celebrate the third day of the Prague European Summit. There will be one of those measures implemented that directly reaches out to the citizens, and it will be the end of roaming charges in the European Union. We are all people who travel a lot, and so we will be one of the first, and you will be one of the first here if you came from abroad to benefit from this measure. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 years ago we gathered for the first time in this beautiful premise of the Prague Castle and Lobkowicz Palace with the ambition to create from Prague European Summit a regular high-level discussion forum that would address the current and the future challenges of the European Union. I think and I hope step by step we are on the right path to deliver. Thanks to the dedicated team and thanks to the strong support from our partners. And here is the place and the time and the moment to thanks and to express our gratitude for their strong and generous support. I wouldn't like to name now individual partners, but at least the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, our strategic partner and main supporter, has to be mentioned. Ladies and gentlemen, let me wish all of us 3 days of intensive and fruitful debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Prime Minister, Your Excellencies, my name is Petr. I'm the director of the Institute of International Relations, one of the co-organizers of Prague European Summit, and let me add a few thoughts and a few comments on the program for this year. I remember standing here on this very spot last year and thinking about how deep the problems are the EU was facing at the time and how deeply they affected the European psyche, the European Union's identity. A year from then, all the issues are still there. The crises in the neighborhood, the conflicts in Ukraine, in Syria, the migration challenge, the Brexit talks which are to start now. All of those are here, and still the atmosphere is entirely different, as I'm sure you're all aware. The mood has changed. The EU is much more optimistic. much more forwards-looking and much more courageous, perhaps, as well. And our program, the program of Prague European, the third installment of Prague European Summit, reflects exactly this. We focus much more on the strategic vision for the EU's future. And we are very happy about this, because this is exactly how and why we conceived those 4 years ago of Prague European Summit. We still have a number of external topics on our agenda, as you've probably noticed in the program. President Trump and the transatlantic relations, great powers and the EU, China's strategy towards the EU, Russia. But the major theme is intra-EU. It is the future of the single market, the digital market, deeper integration of the Eurozone, and of course the key question of Franco-German relations in the future, to name just a few. Our Prague European Summit is also growing in quantitative terms. We have more than 500 registered participants this year, almost 90 speakers, prime and foreign ministers, representatives of the European Commission, dozens of ambassadors, and so on. And we also have strengthened the innovative formats, Prague Talks, in the city center, so not only here, but also some side events in the center, breakfasts at the embassies, the very popular format from the last year, but also the ceremony of awarding the Vision for Europe award. Now, many of these elements build on your feedback from last year, so I would like to encourage you again to give us your thoughts, your comments about what you think we should improve for the years to come. But I'm really confident that we've prepared a robust and very interesting program for you, which you will enjoy at least as much as I do. So thank you for that. And with that, I'd like to ask Mr. State Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Petr Gajdušek, to talk a bit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Mr. Prime Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. On behalf of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I would like to express my gratitude to the organizers of this event for all the endeavors they apply when organizing this wonderful summit. When the Prague European Summit was held last year, it was just a few days before the Brexit referendum. There was a palpable sense of anxiety of acute crisis in European politics. The leitmotif of the conference, Why Better Together, spoke to the dangers of fragmentation, of new divisions, of dangers to the common European project from the rise of populists and radical movements. What a difference a year makes. Despite Brexit, it is fair to say that the EU finds itself in a better condition, at least politically and psychologically. The recent string of elections, and most recently the French parliamentary elections with the victory of Emmanuel Macron, have demonstrated that the European project is far more resilient than it had seemed in 2016. The same holds true for our economies. Europe is regaining confidence and a sense of common purpose. But this is not a time for complacency. Rather, this is the time for thorough reflection on how to proceed, how to separate the important from the urgent, how to make the best use of Europe's newfound confidence. This is precisely what the Prague Summit is all about, a platform to generate and to debate ideas for Europe's future. We are extremely proud to be able to provide a venue for such a high-level discussion and to welcome so many distinguished guests here in Prague for the third time now. Thanks to you and thanks to the organizers, the Prague European Summit has established itself as a unique event in a European conference calendar. The government support for the Prague European Summit reflects our conviction that a strong and united Europe is the best possible framework for the Czech Republic political and economic future, and this is our shared responsibility to deliver it. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, I'm both honored and privileged to pass the floor to the Prime Minister Bohuslav Sobotka for his keynote address. Thank you very much indeed.